Lindsay Ell hanging out with Premier Guitar today, and I want to teach you all about the CAGED system. If you've never even heard of the word CAGED, I will tell you what it means. If you've heard of it but don't really know how to apply it, I will also tell you how to apply it in my unprofessional/professional opinion. Today, this is Jeremy, by the way. He is my guitar. I painted him. I travel with him all over the world, and so I thought I'd bring him along for our lesson today. So first off, I want to start explaining what CAGED means. When I first learned about CAGED, I was a little girl and I was trying to figure out how to start improvising in songs. And CAGED was like that link to me to sort of opening up the door of how to get around the neck and improvising in songs so that I could take a song in E and play it in pretty much any key I wanted at just the snap of a finger. So I will start first. CAGED stands for C-A-G-E-D. How you spell CAGED. And it represents chord shapes up the neck. The beautiful part about these chord shapes is you can move them around, and they're all based on the root notes of the chords. So you can refer to the PDF below this video, but I'll start in the key of C, just because CAGED starts with a C. It's nice and easy. So they're all based on the root notes of the chords. So if we were to plot out all of the C's around the neck, that's where these chord shapes would be found. So if we start with our C that we all know and love right here, our open C, first position, this is the first shape in the CAGED shapes. So we start with a C position. The next position is your A shape, and it's based off of the root note of a C. So we stay on that same C root note right here, but we just use an A shape. So it's similar to this A shape down here, but all we are doing is taking the same shape and moving it up the neck. Just as when you play this A shape, your bottom fifth string, your open A, is technically your root note. And so it's just like taking that same shape and moving it up the neck to where the C root note would be. So the first shape is your open C. The second shape is your A shape for CAGED, C-A. So it's on the third fret because that's your C root note right here. And you make your A shape, and of course with your bar chord, you got to bar the whole fret. So that is also a C, but is in the shape of the A shape of the CAGED form. Continuing on, what's next in CAGED? C-A-G. So it's your G shape. If we were to plot out the next root note, we would find a nice little C up here. And so we're going to take the same G shape that you would play down here and move it all the way up to your root note up here on the. So you bar these open strings that you'd it's almost like you'd be barring them down here. And you will bring the same shape up to. We'll have all of these shapes down in that PDF below this video that you can refer to. But this is also a C chord. It might not be the first C chord that you go to, but when you're soloing in the middle of a song and you're kind of hanging out up here and you're like, oh, there's a C, you can find C chords much easier than going all the way back down to that one that you know. Okay, next in CAGED is your E shape. This is probably the shape that I use the most on the whole entire guitar, regardless of what song I'm in. It's always the shape that I can find in an instant. You know, if I'm playing over changes and I'm in the middle of a solo and I'm trying to grab a note in a chord, I can always find the E shape. So this is the one I use a lot. It's on that same root note as a G, funny enough, but it's just on the other side of it. So if this G shape was right here, then you're going to use that same C note and just make an E shape right here. So it sounds like this. Again, another C, and it's the same shape as you'd play your E down here. And it's almost just like you're barring where this nut is. So it's a standard bar chord, but you're just sliding it up to this root note of the C right here. Last but definitely not least is the D shape. It kind of hides down here, you know, it's the root note is on your 4th string. And so I don't use it as often, but you'd be funny to know how helpful it is when you're sort of playing changes, and when you can jump to a chord progression right here when you're already, you know, playing up here on the neck. Sometimes knowing where this D shape is very useful in the middle of a song. And so it's like your D shape down here. If your root note was that open 4th string, your D, and you slide it all the way up here to your 10th fret, and there's your C chord in the D shape. So you get the full caged system all the way up the neck, so you get back to your 12th fret of where there's another C shape, and it starts caged all over again. So they're all C's. There's a C here. That's in the C shape. That's in the A shape. That's in the G shape. That's in the E shape. And last but not least, in the D shape. So you have C chords all the way up and down the neck. And it is very, very useful when you are transposing or when you're in the middle of a chord progression and you want to find that C chord just to be able to get like a couple notes maybe in the middle of a solo. You can find it pretty much wherever you are. Okay, so let's break this down into something that actually is practical. Let's take a chord progression that's super simple. Let's say C, A minor, F, G. That's a 1, 6, 4, 5 progression. And we will play it in open position where you normally would play it. And then we'll use the CAGED system and play it up the neck with completely different positions that maybe if there are 2 guitar players in your band, one could play it down here and one could play it up here. So this is what it sounds like down here in 1st position. Okay, so there's your chord progression. We are going to use the E shape of the CAGED system. So you're up here on your... And we're going to use the E shape for the C chord, and then we're going to use the A shape for the rest of the chords. So the A shape for your A minor is now going to be on your 12th fret. We're also using the A shape for your F chord, which will be here. Sorry, that's an F9. And then we'll use your A shape for your G chord as well on the 10th fret. And again, this is just off the root notes. So your F note is right here on the 8th fret. Your G note is right here on the 10th fret. Your A note is right here on the 12th fret. And your C note is right there on the 8th fret as well. So here's the chord progression, a completely different spot on the guitar using the CAGED system. So the great part about the CAGED system is you can mix them up. I mean, sometimes when I'm writing, I love just different voices. And so you can use like a C down here, and then you can use an F up here, and you can change it up. It also really helps if you are soloing and improvising, because off those root notes, you can start scales from all different spots in the neck. You can play over chord changes from all different spots of the neck. So it really just gives you a bunch of different starting points that you can pick up on the turn of a dime.